Cultivating inner strength and overcoming fatigue. And that's a subject that's very close to my heart. Inner strength is the mental strength within each one of us, which makes us either become successful or if we haven't paid enough attention, then the slightest notion of failure and we give up. And so each of us have got inner strength, but to what extent and how do we cultivate it? So we can explore this topic a little tonight. And we can start with how do we prefer? Do we prefer to be in a position of strength, or do we prefer to be in a position of weakness? It is a choice we have. Some people would just say, life's given me all these things which are, challenges. Why does it always happen to me? And the same sort of problems and challenges could be embraced by another person saying, this is an opportunity for me to test my strength, to see what I'm made of. Can I overcome all these challenges and succeed despite everything that's thrown in my way to make me fall down? And so we can check what sort of level our inner strength is. All of us have got inner strength. There's no doubt about it. But it's a spectrum. We can start there at 0, and nobody's at 0. And we could be at 100%. And so we are somewhere in between. There may be times when we might feel more stronger, depending on, everything going our way, we've got time to look after our health, our body, we are not rushed into doing anything, our relationships are working, and on those sort of days, we feel that we've got that inner strength to cope with anything that's thrown in our way. And then at other times, we are the same people, and yet what would happen is, I might wake up, something's gone wrong, the boiler's not working, I've missed my train, and all of a sudden, the same inner strength I experienced yesterday is no longer there. I'm the same person, nothing's changed, it's just my ability to cope. And suddenly we start doubting our ability. Do I have the inner strength? Am I able to cope? And so it is very interesting just checking day to day and using what we have. If we know ahead of time that we will have a challenging day, maybe invest some time in making sure we do things where we feel a bit more relaxed. We're not rushing around. We've got that reservoir of energy which is there in case something else gets thrown in. So we can plan. And the best way to check how we cope is mentally. We can sort of go through scenarios and just think, what? Yes, I can cope with that. If that gets thrown at me, no problem. I can deal with that. If that happens, I can deal with that. Yet, when that same thing happens, we surprise ourselves because we might not act in the same way that we visualized ourselves acting. And it surprises us because we don't understand that our inner strength is not something we can take for granted. It needs to be cultivated. We need to pay attention. We need to check where we are. And so how do we measure? If someone says, I'm a very strong person, how do we measure that? We can take someone's word for it. Yes, you are very strong. But then the true test comes when a challenge crops up. then we can observe that they stated they were strong, and yet when the challenge cropped up, how did they act? Did they manage everything? Did they start floundering? Did they start becoming vulnerable? And so, till a challenge is posed, until we go through something, we can never state how strong we are. Mentally, visually, in theory, we can do wonderful things. But when the real practical aspect hits us, then we can see. And so let us check. All of us can measure how much inner strength we have. And the best way is to go through a challenging situation we've all been through. We can all relate to that challenge. There's no one in this room that can say, that didn't affect me. Because the challenge we're going to look at tonight is a challenge in a very recent past, and that's the challenge of COVID. That hit all of us. There was not one person who didn't get affected. And so when we look back, now life is normal. But how did we cope? And that will be the measure of how much inner strength I had, and what did I do to make sure that I came through all the challenges. So if we cast our mind back to 2020, that's not too distant a past. We can still remember the days. And we look at, someone would have said that the world would lock down, we would not have believed them. We would have thought, this is the most fictional account of, someone's version that you can think of. Nobody would have believed that we could have gone through what we went through. And yet, truth is stranger than fiction. We went through that challenge. It started off where it felt like it would be a few days of challenge. We heard that there was this disease that had come through. Nobody had experienced it before. It was a frightening experience. It was happening somewhere far, far away. It wasn't going to affect us. We were just going to be, living our normal lives. And then gradually, our comfort started shaking because it started coming nearer. And then I still remember the day. It was March 2020, and we had already planned to go to Mount Abu, which is our headquarters, for a fortnight. And I started getting calls saying a lot of people are cancelling their flights because they can see a troubling time coming ahead. And I had to make a decision. Do I cancel the flight or do I still go ahead? And sometimes ignorance is bliss. The less you know, the more protected you feel. You feel, what's a fortnight? What's going to happen? So we took the flight. Everything felt normal here. As soon as we landed in India, we saw people with temperature gauges, masks, keeping their distance, and suddenly it hit us that we're in Australia now, in a different country, and the rules are different, and anything could happen. And if any symptoms had been registered, then it was the unknown. Everything worked out fine. We went on our way to Mount Abu, and there we were, far away from everything else, feeling really safe and secure. The world was going through challenging times. We were cushioned in a little cocoon. Nothing was going to affect us there. And day 3, there was a little murmur that, things were starting to become challenging. The world was experiencing a challenge it had never experienced. And we thought, well, it's happening out there. It's not affecting us. So, we were just like going our merry way in there. And then day 4 came and said nobody can go out of the complex and nobody can come in. And suddenly you are in this remote part and you just think, if at that stage nobody comes out or nobody can go in, things are getting pretty serious. And still we thought, you know what, it's fine. Nobody's coming in, we're not going out, we're fine, we're safe and secure. Fortnight will go, and then suddenly day 7 comes and we're told that everyone has to go back. And it was quite difficult to take that on board, thinking, it's only another 7 days. What does another 7 days matter? But those 7 days were going to matter because rules were changing minute by minute. Everything was happening very fast. Things were unraveling. And suddenly we had to take stock. And I still remember feeling very calm and thinking, it's fine. And then suddenly we started hearing about people around us saying that their airlines were cancelling their tickets. There were no flights going out. And then I was thinking, yes, it's getting pretty serious. So calmly, we were just like figuring out what was the next thing to do. And it just took one call. I think I was very fortunate. My experience was, I felt like someone was watching over me. I had an angel protecting me. Just took one phone call to the airlines to say that I was cutting short the visit because we were all told that we would have to leave the complex. And the airline person was so lovely. 5-minute phone call, they said normally they would charge for changing, but things were now becoming very serious. And they would change our ticket and we could just fly out earlier. And day 9, we were out. On the roads, there wasn't a single car, and that started again hitting us quickly. I've never seen India where there isn't a single car on the road. And we were traveling, we arrived at the airport, and then we realized how serious it was because we literally got the last plane and the airport closed. And yet when we came back here, there was no sign of lockdown, nothing at all. But we still had to take care because we traveled from a country on a plane with other people, so we had to remain indoors, we were told, for a fortnight. And then the challenges started coming up. So when you look back at your experience and just checking to see how did you cope? Did you cope well? Was it challenging? Did you feel vulnerable? And it was fine to feel all those things because we'd never been through such an experience before. How did I cope with not being able to buy everything I wanted, having to stand in queues for hours on end? We all had that experience. And did I feel I could go through that? Or did I feel that, life is too difficult? Those are the measures, those are the tests that came along to just let us see, how did we cope without friends and family? How did we cope with knowing that our loved ones had passed away, some of them, and we couldn't go and support the family, couldn't go and pay our last respects? How did we cope with being indoors? We weren't allowed to go out. How did we cope with the fear of people around us? this is all the signs of how we personally coped. It's not, you know, I was fine, others are, others can do what they want. It was a shared experience. We started looking out for each other. We just didn't think about ourselves. We thought about elderly neighbors. Did they need support? We started thinking about people who were living on their own. Did they need support? Did they feel vulnerable? And so again, the sign of inner strength is, did I just think about myself, or did I start thinking about others? Because when I start feeling strong, when I've got inner strength, not only do I cope myself, but I am able to provide support to others. And so if I was able to provide support for others and looked after myself, then I knew that I had that inner strength to face what was coming. And there were a lot of new challenges, new experiences that came. Each one had to face those experiences head on with courage. There was fear, and yet we had to get through situations. People were afraid to meet each other. People started keeping their distance. We started wearing masks, sanitizing, all those things were like unknown before COVID. And yet we took those in our stride, and we coped, and we stood and helped others. And that, again, till we've been through a challenge, we can't say how strong we are. Did we we saw a lot of instances of kindness. We saw a lot of instances of compassion. And we also saw stories of selfishness, where people were more interested in looking after their own interests. We also saw, instances of greed, where people were more, happy that there was an opportunity to, fill their pockets. I don't really care if, you're in a bad situation. I could exploit that situation and make money. So, we had varying degrees of, how people behaved. Some people, it was the best in them that came out, and in others, it was the very worst of human nature that got put on display. And, who's to judge? Because, each one had a different set of circumstances to deal with. Yes, we all started on a level playing field. We were all in the same boat. Yet, some people had one set of challenges, another set of people would have had different sets of challenges. So the examination was the same exam. We had some general questions where we all had to go through the same experience. And then we had our specialist challenges that came up. Some of us might have caught COVID. That might have been a frightening experience. So all of that, again, showed how we coped and how mentally strong we were. And if we weren't mentally strong, what did we do? If we didn't do anything, then it would have been a very frightening experience. And we could have come out totally weakened. But we didn't. We went through a challenge. And if once we go through a challenge, we come out stronger. If we keep on standing. And so, what was your experience? Did you feel that COVID made you stronger, or do you feel that it was a difficult set of circumstances and very difficult? It was difficult, no doubt. And we hope that we never have to experience something like that again. But if we gave up, that was a more dangerous position to be in. The more weakened you were, the more vulnerable you felt, the less likely we were to survive. When it comes to the question of survival, the more inner strength, the more mentally prepared we are, the better we are able to cope. Whatever gets thrown in our way, if we have got that resilience within us, we are able to just say, right, this is a challenge, it's difficult, I've got a choice. I give up or I carry on. I have to keep calm, look for solutions, look for support, and carry on. And the more we do that, the more we're strengthening ourselves, strengthening our mind. And the more we are doing that, we are not depending on things, we're not depending on people, we're not depending on circumstances. We know that whatever comes our way, we will cope. But we've got to have that mindset that I cannot give up, because the moment I give up, the moment I have a weak thought, then I'm already failing. I've admitted defeat. I don't even want to rise to the challenge. And so how do we make sure we cultivate that inner strength in us? Because we know what it is. If we can't cope, we can tell. We also know when we can cope. So how can we help ourselves? We don't want to be dependent on others. If we are dependent on others, then that becomes our weakness. The moment they stop giving us support, we fall. If I'm dependent on comforts, the moment they're taken away, I am setting myself up for defeat. And so the challenge is keep going. The level of inner strength will vary depending on what I'm facing from time to time, but what can I do to help myself? And so the first thing is the power of thought. Our thoughts can make or break us. The moment I have a weak thought, I've already given up. I might as well not try. So the power of positive thought and the wonders it does. The more positive I am, I may not have the capability, I may not even know how to do something, I may not be aware of what will come ahead, but I just sort of accept that, you know what, I'm who I am, I know what I know, I may not know everything, but whatever is going to happen, I will find a way. I will find a way. There'll be people along my journey who might come and help me. There might be things that I might learn on my way. And it is like COVID times, what did we do? When we couldn't meet physically, people started meeting online. People who were afraid of using technology started using technology. So as soon as a set of challenges come up, if we are having a positive outlook, we start looking for creative ways to find solutions, finding ways to cope. And in that, we start growing as a person. We start learning new things. We can't, there is never a day that we sort of say, today I didn't learn something. Every day, someone, somehow, it's either something, an experience, whatever a person says, whatever, we are learning something new, we are growing. And so the people we were back in 2020 and the people we are now are much stronger. We've been through challenging times, we've come through, we've not faltered. Yes, we've had wobbles on the way, and it's natural. When we go through challenging circumstances, there may be times we might have a wobble or two. There might be times where we just feel that, I can't cope. And it's just fine to accept that there'll be things coming along our way where we may have to accept that we won't be able to cope. We're not superhuman. We are human beings. We have our frailties. We have our vulnerabilities. So be kind to ourselves. Have that compassion that life is a challenge and we're living it. So well done to us. And by being kind to us, we are increasing that inner strength. The moment we start beating ourselves, we start decreasing that inner strength. We become our own worst enemies. You don't need someone to put us down if you're already putting ourselves down. And so, power of thought. And we can do a quick exercise now. We'll just stop for a moment. And if it feels more comfortable to close your eyes, then close your eyes. Instead of all the external things, looking at the external things, turn the attention and awareness inwards and just check, non-judgmentally, what we are thinking at the moment. So for just a minute, you close your eyes and then just watch, non-judgmentally, the flow of thoughts. Okay, Om Shanti. So, were you able to see what you were thinking? What the speed of the thoughts were? How many positive thoughts came in the mind? How many negative thoughts came in the mind? How many weak thoughts came in the mind? How many unnecessary thoughts came in the mind? How many wasteful thoughts came in the mind? Sometimes we don't know what we're thinking until we stop and have a look. We don't know where our thoughts are leading, how many directions they're going in, how much energy is being drained, how it's affecting me as a person. If the quality of my thoughts is more negative than positive, then I'm draining the energy. Instead of building my inner strength, I'm actually becoming weaker. Do I need to think of anything that's not necessary? Sometimes we have thoughts that really don't relate to anything that concerns us, and yet the mind interferes. We are better at minding other people's business than, minding our own. And so, how much energy am I dissipating? If I can say that generally my thoughts are more positive than negative, then I know then I'm cultivating inner strength. I'm increasing my inner strength, I am increasing that power in the mind. I'm increasing that stock of energy, which if I need at a moment's notice, I've got to hand. If I don't pay attention to my thoughts, then the moment I need something, then it isn't there. The moment I want to share those good wishes with someone, the moment I want to support someone, if I haven't got something, I can't give it to others. So first of all, I need to ensure I've got it within me. And if I've got it within me, then I'm able to not only help myself, I'm able to help others. And so it is so important for us to spend some time checking the quality of our thoughts. The faster the speed of thoughts, the less likely we are able to catch them. The less likely we are able to see, was it a positive thought? Was it a negative thought? What was I thinking? Was I in the UK? Was I somewhere else? Was I, totally far, far away? Thoughts can take us anywhere at a very minute second. And so the power, just paying attention to our thoughts, will increase and cultivate that inner strength. Taking time for ourselves. We're very good at sharing our time. We are generous with our time. We are helpful, supportive, As human beings, we like to help others. But first of all, if I've helped myself, I can help others. So have I spent that time looking inwards, looking at my inner world, checking, are there any areas that need attention? They could be, I may have had a very stressful day, and then to keep on going and to keep on going, there'll come a moment when either the body will give up, the mind will burn out, and, to bring us back to some sort of being able to be normal will require a lot of energy. So just paying attention and making sure that we are sustaining ourselves. Maybe spend 5-10 minutes in the morning when we get up, focusing on the self. What do I need today? How am I feeling? Am I feeling able to cope, or do I feel that I'm feeling a little vulnerable? I don't want too many challenges coming my way. So maybe let me spend 5 minutes just clearing anything in my mind that is unwanted, and maybe have that silence, that introversion, where I'm inputting and increasing that power within me. And then when I start the day, I won't have time, because there'll be a lot of things going on, and I'll forget about, I need that energy. I need to replenish whatever is being drained away. So here we've got a very good system. Every hour on the hour, whatever we're doing, we stop. And that's the moment to catch ourselves, take stock. Or, can I just put a break and just relax? Whatever is happening is not important. Let me just take this moment and of silence and increase that energy within. And the more regularly we're doing, we're not leaving it till the end. At the end of the day, you just think, oh my God, I forgot. I didn't spend any time checking whether I was fine, whether I needed anything. And so again, it's good to have moments during the day just to check, do I need to just stop? And then in that moment, we get a great deal of clarity And whatever we do takes less time. Sometimes we find that, no, I can't stop. I'm too busy. You know, don't ask me. No, I've got to go on. And, you know, sometimes people are afraid to even stop people and ask something because they can see, you know, that look on the face. I haven't got time. I haven't got time. But we've got to be able to create moments not only for ourselves, but not make the day so busy that we haven't got time for, you know, others. It's the natural, you know, we sustain each other by just stopping a smile. You don't need to spend, you know, hours chatting to someone. If someone's feeling low and just a smile will uplift their spirits, doesn't take too much energy. But we need to have that within ourselves. If we're feeling low, we can't provide that to others. And so silence, introversion are good ways to build up that inner strength and make sure we're cultivating it. And then the other thing is happiness. Making sure that I do not compromise on my happiness. Nothing should make me feel that, you know, there'll be challenges. We cannot be happy all the time. But there's the saying in Hindi, Khushi jaisi khorak nahi. The amount of happiness you have will make us feel light, uplifted, and that energy within will give us that inner strength. When you are happy, you're able to do a lot more than when, you know, when you're doing something you don't enjoy. It'll take longer, you'll keep putting it off, and the energy will start draining. You just think, no, I don't want to do this. I can't be asked to do this. Whereas when you're happy, whatever you're doing, you'll do it with lightness, with joy, and other people around you will get affected. You know, they'll start becoming enthusiastic. Then instead of, I can't do it, they'll just, you know what, we can do it this way, we can do it that way. That energy becomes infectious. And so making sure we keep our spirit light and happy, doing things that make us happy. You know, I may not be a singer, but who's stopping me singing for myself? You know, we've got a lot of bathroom singers. You know, you don't need to be on stage to have a, you know, uplift your spirit. Going for a walk, going in nature, all of these things create that inner, and you know, it's cultivating that inner strength within. We are doing things that's making us happy, and we owe it to ourselves to do those sort of things. So again, that's another thing that makes us happy, and gives cultivates inner strength. Another thing that gives us inner strength is our belief in God. You know, if I believe in God, then that support, that strength, that unconditional love, what I might not have, what another human being cannot give, is something that I can get from God. If I don't believe in God, that's fine as well. But if I believe in God, God as the support, what God can give me, you know, that not judgmental, unconditional love, accepting me for who I am, what I am, all my weaknesses, all my frailties, it doesn't matter to God. I am God's child. The moment I start thinking, God, please help me, I am then not a child of God. Because we are starting to ask for things. We would never have to ask things from our parent. Parent gives unconditionally. Parent knows what a child needs. Parent will never say, you know what, you're on your own, can't support you anymore. Parents' unconditional love. And so, as a child of God, I can tap into that resource. If I haven't got the strength, then God's strength will give me that inner strength to carry on. A human being with the best within the world will not be able to give me the same support because they have got their challenges, they're going through their difficulties, they have other things to deal with. Yes, they'll give me good wishes and all of that, but the challenges and everything else I've got to go through myself. So when we've got that inner strength, then we don't need to think about overcoming fatigue because our attention has been on cultivating inner strength. And that inner strength is giving us power. And automatically, the tiredness goes because we've been paying attention in making sure that we keep energized, we keep positive, we keep happy, we've got that mental resilience, we're able to cope with whatever is thrown in our way. Then tiredness, automatically, the more we pay attention to that area, then, you just think, today I'm tired, can't do it. Whereas, we haven't got time for that. We're busy in all the positive aspects of doing other energizing things. So fatigue then automatically doesn't, it just doesn't exist in our lives. And if it does, we just take it in our stride and just carry on. So it's coming up to 7:30 now. Does anyone have any questions or?
I don't want to confuse anybody. Well, just a very basic question. Why do I need to think?
The mind.
Because anything, either it is taking me backward or in future.
Yeah.
Future I'm not sure about what will happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is long past, I cannot change it.
Absolutely.
If I'm living in present,
Yeah.
observe it.
Yeah.
And responding to the situation.
Oh, yes.
My mind need not dwell in thinking. The problem of human being is
Overthinking.
expectations, desires.
Yeah.
Right. I expect when I go down, I'll find a bus.
Yeah.
If I don't get the bus, there will be frustration.
But were you thinking about when you go down, though? Did you think about that whilst you were sitting?
While I'm sitting,
Now,
going down.
did the thought arise that when I go down, I hope I will get a bus?
No.
That's good then.
That's what I'm trying to train my mind to.
Yeah.
That situation. If I go down, I get a bus.
Yep.
I get a bus. If I don't get a bus, I walk.
Yeah. That's fine. The thing is that the function of the mind is to think. We can't have a blank mind. There will be thoughts that will come, whether we want it or not. If we've paid enough attention to our mind, then we will be able to control the speed of our thoughts. We will be able to control the quality of our thoughts, but there'll never be an occasion when we can stop thinking. Thoughts will come, but if I've paid attention and if I've paid attention to the mind, then the mind will, making the mind my friend. So the mind will keep on thinking. So when we stopped for that moment, did your mind stop thinking completely? Or did you have any thoughts come up?
I like experimenting with my life. You mentioned challenges.
Yeah.
I don't see life as a challenge. It's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
It's a blessing. There cannot be, in this whole universe, They cannot be anything better than a human life.
That's true.
They're the best thing.
That's the best, yes.
Yeah. The nature has given you everything what you need. I have seen ups and downs
Yes.
in life. But when I speak to my wife, so I tell her, for me, a starting point in life, the river is a cottage under a tree, and maybe a cow for milk, and few hands for eggs, because I like eggs. That's the starting point of life.
That's
Right.
the best life. It's simplicity. There's no complexities.
Because when I go for a car, the car is a new car for me, only for a week, 10 days, 15 days. Then it becomes a...
But that
Sorry.
Is there anybody else who has any questions or comments? Yes, just a sec.
Hi, sister.
hello.
I just wanted to check, like, why we can't keep our mind idle, as you said, like, you know. And I have observed when I'm meditating and I'm in a spiritual place or where the energy vibes are high, my thoughts became low and I can actually see it. And when things are fine, or mostly when I think about positive outcome, I feel less negative or less overthinking. Even I heard in one of the lectures of Shivani ji that when you think positive outcome, your mind will not overthink. But most of the time, what I have observed, our mind goes towards negative direction. If we keep it idle, it will think, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if? And finding a positive outcome is like a 1 out of 10 opportunity. Yeah. But we know somewhere in our heart something best or something in between is going to happen. Not too worse, not too good. But still, we think about all the negative sides. What this is going to happen, that is going to happen. So why this happens? Like, is it our mind is designed that way that we always leave it alone, then it will keep on looking to the negative part of the things? We keep on have to drag it to the positive side?
No, I think it's also to do with how people around us are. And, you know, we might have been brought up being overprotected. So sometimes people's fears are put on us. There'll be a lot of don'ts. So our mind automatically starts thinking, oh, if I do this, what if? So because it's someone else's fear, we've been hearing all those messages, we have adopted them subconsciously. And then instead of always thinking, you know, the outcome could be positive, it's the other people's fears that we've carried with us. You know, I can still remember being overly protected. And so when I then had to stand up on my own 2 feet, I was so afraid of going when I was young. My parents were so protective that going from one room to another on my own, and if that room was in the darkness, I felt afraid. And that was because everyone was overprotective. And I became very fearful. And as I grew up and as I started standing up on my own 2 feet, and there were times I had to do those things. There was no one around. I had to go to that room. I was on my own, you know. I had to do it. And then the more you do it, the more you're able to then overcome all those fears that other people had. And then it's also the news. We hear so much. So we are absorbing. We're like sponges. And the negative we absorb very quickly. The positive we process. It takes us time to process. And so making sure that whatever we are taking on board, don't let that become the way of thinking. Let me just stop. The moment I feel that I'm going down that avenue, instead of applying a brake, if a car is going at a speed, you apply a brake, it'll take time to stop. So instead of trying to apply a brake, just change course. Start thinking of something more, something different, an experience, a positive experience you've had. And immediately, you're not trying to stop that negative. Your mind is already on the positive. And as it's going down in that direction, then you've changed course. And the more you do that, more you're able to catch yourself going down, stopping yourself and, just steering to a different avenue. It becomes a habit then. And we'd start thinking, the worst never will happen. I've had enough experiences in my life to know that that's not the most likely outcome. And the more confidence we get, the more we're able to then believe in that. And then our power of thought kicks in.
But sister, sometimes Murphy laws get applied.
Yeah, I know.
Something goes bad, everything goes bad.
Bad, yeah.
Isn't
It does.
Sometimes it happens and it makes us believe that, this time it may also.
It may also. And then we stop and say, we can stop and say, that went wrong. So by the, I can't always have the same thing happening. It'll be a different outcome this time. And the more we believe in that, the more we are able to change, because it is also our power of thought that determines our destiny. We sometimes it's like a self-fulfilling. We're almost saying, it's going to happen, and then we just say, you know what? I told you this was going to happen, and it happened. You didn't believe me. It did happen. And so we start, doing that as well. So the more we're able to just say, you know what? It's not going to be the same result. This time, it's going to be different. And the more that happens, our confidence in ourselves increase, and we're able to see different outcomes. And then the self starts, believing in good things will happen. Different outcomes will happen. It won't be the same thing. I'm a different person. I've got more experience now. I know how to handle things. So all of those things will start coming into play. Right, if that's all, then we'll say, we'll just take a few minutes of quiet time and leave on a positive note. So we'll just play some light music and create a very powerful, elevated thought that will increase your inner strength. And then we'll just focus on that thought for the next couple of minutes, and then you'll find that the energy levels will rise. So just sit down comfortably, relax, and just don't think about anything. Feel your energy levels rise. Looking inwards. See the strength, the mental strength that's already there. The strength that increases the confidence and the ability to be able to face everything that is going to be coming along. I am a being full of light, love, and inner strength. I look ahead full of positivity and uplifting experiences. Nothing feels too difficult. I am an actor playing a part on the world stage. And it is the best part. No one can play my role as well as I can. Om Shanti.
So thank you very much, Krishaben, for enlightening us. It's always beautiful to know that when you support others and you help others and you take care of yourself too, then it's as if automatically your tiredness goes, isn't it? Automatically your fatigue goes. So to always be in a stage where you are serving and supporting others. So beautiful positioning. And so just like to share with you the product of the week. The book is Being Beyond Belief by Mike George. So I'm sure if you want to pop some old belief that may be causing you a bit of tiredness out of your system, this would be the book to reference to. Very powerful book. And just to let you know that next week, the public talk is the Daksha. You'll all come, and every one of you online and also here know who she is. I don't want to go into the detail, but her topic is trusting myself and others. So polish up your trust virtue by coming next week and bring your friends and family along. So Christmas is coming soon, so it's nice if, they empower their values from within of trust. And Monday to Thursdays, we have in-house meditation 7 to 7:30, but also online at the same time. So you're most welcome to come. You're also welcome to bring your family and friends who wish to meditate, and take that chance in the evening, because end of the year, you want to just reflect. Yeah, just want to go in, and you do want to take that whole year and digest it, isn't it? So I think take that opportunity to sit and meditate. And more than that, Sundays are online 10 to 10:45 also meditations. But you do need to go onto our website to register to get the Zoom link for those. So every Sunday at 10 a.m. to 10:45. And so, good night. Take care when you get back home. And one thing I remembered now, I was just told that Krishna does amazing work, which I just discovered, of picking the Thought for Today points that go online. So you haven't subscribed and downloaded those points, do, because she's taken a whole lot of effort to do those, I heard. So thank you very much for doing that. And good night. Safe travels back home. Om Shanti.